Thank you. There's a presentation to come up. I don't know how that comes up. My name is Ted Nickerson, and I'm a principal in a company called Durham Gateway Partners. And the Durham Gateway Partners was formed to investigate, promote, and hopefully in the future actually participate in a minor way in the development of the federal lands. Did I get it right? No, it's this one. Why isn't it changing? One of the things we learned very early on is we're engineers. So we started out worrying about airplanes and runways and passengers and all that. And it didn't take us long that was a really pretty stupid approach to looking at Pickering Airport. In fact, Pickering Airport is far more than an airport. It is, in fact, uh, a major player, a major economic zone, can be a major economic zone. And if we really want to go forward, we need to think of it as a multimodal transportation hub that happens to be airport based. But the real prize in all of this is economic prosperity and huge job creation. It can be, in our model and the work we've done, it can actually be the fifth largest commercial airport in Canada, and it can be the third largest employment district in all of the GTA. Downtown Toronto is the biggest, Pearson's the next biggest. This one could be the next size. Wrong way. This is our concept. Actually, you've seen this concept already tonight. It was in Mr. Delaney's presentation as well. But the important thing in this concept is it has an airport precinct. The airport precinct is consistent with Transport Canada's plans. But the big prize in this is all the blue land, which we refer to as the Advanced Enterprise Zone. And this is where 80% of all the jobs are created and where most of the money is actually created. So it is the big job generator. Our work, the plan that we've put together, the business case we've put together, actually demonstrate or delivers these kind of economic benefits. In terms of job creation, somewhere between 56,000 and 66,000 jobs. The other thing is it's 35,000 to 41,000 work years of construction trades labor. In terms of economic benefits, you're looking at 10 to 12 billion dollars a year in regional economic benefits. The potential for 260 million dollars a year in annual property taxes, I believe, which about 30% of that actually flows back to Pickering. 500 on the order of $500 million in federal and provincial income taxes, and up to $400 million in development charges. I'm sure in terms of development charges and property taxes, you guys could do a lot with that money. Interesting thing though is when you actually read the motion tonight, it makes several references and quotations from the KPMG study. And unlike previous speakers, to my mind, the KPMG study does say an airport is needed here in Pickering. So why do we get the different opinions? In fact, like I said, the report says that an airport will be needed. And its basis, though, is about when will it be needed? And it tries and attempts to do that. And part of the basis is it says Pickering Airport can be delayed after 2036 if certain other things happen. Ms. Delaney tonight spoke about her report that she did, their analysis they did of the KPMG report. It was actually called The Big Lie. And I read it. Of course, I disagreed with it. And so I've written one called The Big Lie, but who's telling it? And because I know somebody who is on the Friends of Pickering Airport, which I am not, I'm a friend of the Friends, but I'm not a member, he posted that. So if people are really interested in the comparison, they can go to the pickeringairport.org and look at it. One of the biggest refrains, though, you hear from the anti-airport, pro-farm anti-airport, is that there is no business case. I can tell you right now, there are business cases, plural. The most noticeable one is actually in the KPMG report. The last 130 pages of the report are, in fact, although they don't declare it, are a business case. They looked at 5 potential options and roles for that airport. They got rid of 3, and in the 2 they kept, they set criteria for success, and they made 6, looked at 6 scenarios and didn't reject any of them. The unfortunate thing is the federal government, in their infinite wisdom, redacted all the financial numbers. So you don't know which one's the best, or, and which one's the worst. But the fact is they didn't reject any of them. So in truth, next point is that additional airport capacity is going to be required in the GTA before 2041. There's no question about that. Aviation is recovering, and is recovering quite sprightly. Not as quite because of something happened last year, not as quickly as we wanted. But if you look at your minutes, their motion, sorry, you actually have a line in your motion that says there will be sufficient capacity in Southern Ontario airport system without the requirement to build a new airport. In fact, that line does appear in the executive summary. Unfortunately, it's not the complete line. It's actually qualified. The complete line is, provided capacity enhancements are undertaken at the existing passenger airports, then you can say there will be sufficient capacity. So what really are these capacity enhancements they're talking about in order to, that you would make at these other airports so you can delay a Pickering airport? Well, they look at all 4 airports, Pearson, Billy Bishop, but the real focus is on Hamilton and Waterloo. Hamilton Waterloo, at the time the KPMG report was written, had declared in their master plans a capacity of just under 2 million passengers a year. Well, the KPMG report proposes, in order to delay Pickering, they increase the combined capacity of those 2 airports from 2 million to 41 million. 41 million, just for context, passengers is 80% of the throughput of Toronto Pearson Airport in 2019. It is a ridiculous number. I mean, it is billions of dollars, and it's not justified. Well, the other good thing is, having the report having recommended this, it does a really brilliant thing. It actually states that expansions of Waterloo and Hamilton Airport in order to delay Pickering Airport are expensive and are not justified based on demand. I had the opportunity to speak to the general manager of Waterloo Airport, Mr. Chris Wood, and I asked him about this. And he said, yes, when the study was going on, he had the opportunity to talk to Transport Canada, and they brought up this idea of increasing the capacity of Waterloo from 250,000 a year to 19 million. They were very clear. Waterloo was very clear with them. Says, we're not going to do it. It's not justified. In fact, if you're going to do this, we're going to cancel our $300 million expansion program. The government's going to have to take the risk. The government's going to have to come up with the billions of dollars, and we want no part of it. So what's really happening is, well, not happening. Those expansions are not going to take place. Excuse me. So those expansions aren't going to take place. Capacity is going to be needed before 2041. So Pickering, in my mind, is going to be needed before 2036, the date to be determined. Let me flip some pages. Climate change. Climate change is real. There's no question about it. I've heard councillors speak about it. I've heard other delegates speak about it. I saw councillors Nagy and Cook speaking about it in the YouTube today. It is real and needs to be adjusted, and the aviation industry has to adjust, has to commit to it. And in fact, globally, aviation industry has committed to be net zero by 2050. Within that, though, and pertinent to an airport in Pickering, is the Airports Council International Airport Carbon Accreditation Program, with the goal that airports will, in fact, be net zero. To date, there are 447 commercial airports worldwide participating in the program. 105 have achieved net zero or carbon neutral. But here in Canada, believe it or not, 23 airports representing 94% of the 2019 commercial air traffic are enrolled in it. 3 of them, incredibly, representing 51% of all air traffic, are in fact carbon neutral. And those airports are Vancouver, Ottawa, and our own Toronto Pearson. So we can stand back and say, in terms of climate change, in terms of airports, Pickering Airport can be net zero. My last slide is reject the motion. That's what I think you should do. One of the things you have to remember, regardless of how you vote tonight, for or against, the work on the airport's not going to stop. I guarantee that Ms. Delaney and I guarantee me are going to continue to promote our various factions. Whether you're pro-farm or whether you're pro-airport, the work is going to continue. We're going to be reaching out to politicians, et cetera. That's just natural. And the other thing is Transport Canada, as I mentioned earlier, has initiated a study. We welcome the study. I think this is good. We really hope, though, this is the final one. I mean, I don't know how many times we've been involved or seen a study. We've started to move forward, and then the federal government makes no decision.
You have to wrap up.
Okay, so wrapping up, my last point is it's interesting that the federal government has committed $13 billion to create 3,000 jobs in St. Thomas. For something just over half of that, they can create 60,000 jobs here in Pickering. I think that's what should happen. Reject the motion, advocate for funding like that, and embrace the full economic development of the Pickering lands.
Thank you. Ms. Nagy, or sorry, Councillor Nagy. My apologies.
All good. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. I think wherever you are on the pro or against, I think we can all agree with that. That I hope this is the last one and we get clear direction. I just had a couple of questions. One, was it just a slip of the tongue when you said that Land Over Landings wrote the Food Hub report?
Excuse me.
When you said that Land Over Landings
Land
wrote
Over
the Food Hub
Landings.
report.
So I defer to the actual comment by Ms. Delaney earlier. She referred to an analysis that Land Over Landings had done of the KPMG report that, in their opinion, said no airport was needed. I wrote a rebuttal to that, and that rebuttal is posted online.
So are you referring to the Food Hub report that they commissioned, or a different report?
I'm referring to the report they commissioned. I've offered a rebuttal that says, no, it doesn't say that at all. That's fair. You know, people.
Right. You said that Land Over Landings did the report, whereas writing it themselves and commissioning it from an independent group are two very different things. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
And one more question. You started off your delegation by saying that you are also, like, your group is looking to participate in the development of the federal lands. Would you not say then that you have a vested interest or a tangible return in seeing this built?
Well, our interest is, let's put it, is the partners in Durham Gateway, we're old white guys, we're old engineers. So our focus is we will never be involved in the actual building or operation of the airport. What our interests are is understanding it, promoting it, and actually the best case for us would be working with an interested investor during the RFP process and hopefully the things that we can contribute. But in my mind, that's it. I mean, once the decision's made, somebody's been selected, I don't see myself or my partner being involved anymore in Pickering Airport.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Brenner, questions, the delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the delegation, you referred to the partners. Who are the partners?
Well, there's just 2 of us. There's myself and my other partner is Lee Parsons. And we actually met when we both worked for Malone Given Parsons. We're no longer there. He is still working on, he's got his own business somewhere else. And other than the airport, I'm retired.
So your other partner was
formed with
the development company, or not development company, but the consultant, Don Given and Associates.
Yeah, we're not with Don and Company anymore. So.
Lee was, so.
He was actually one of the partners in Malone Given Parsons. He retired from Malone Given Parsons, sold out his interests, so he is no longer, he has his own separate small development company. But separate from that, he and I are a partner in Durham Gateway.
Do you happen to know what development his company is involved in, the small developments that he's involved in?
He's got a project in Ottawa, and he's got another one in Waterloo. But I'm not, he's asked me to be involved. I'm not interested.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Nickerson, thank you for coming today. I have a couple questions. I asked Ms. Delaney earlier if there'd be some benefit, or no, I think I asked her, why doesn't she want to wait to the results of the study that Transport Canada released on Tuesday? Would you think that would be, you want to be fact-based, data-driven, and get the information? Would you see some benefit in waiting till we get those results to make any determinations?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have to wait for the result. I think if anybody, Ms. Delaney or even myself, think that anything is going to happen on the lands before that report comes out, they're wasting their time. But doesn't mean that we can't do work to understand. And in the case of our group, we need to talk to, and we have in the past, talked to people, potential investors. That's the big thing for us, potential investors and airport operators. It's not local people worrying about land development. We need so on the assumption that the report comes out and it is favorable to an airport, we want to be in a position to go forward and hit the ground running. So we're going to continue that. Yeah, we'll wait for the report. You had the 2004 report, nothing happened. 2010 report, nothing happened. 2015 report, nothing happened. And the KPMG report, 2016, 27. It feels good, but then nothing happened. So I'm hoping this is the final one.
Thank you, Ted. I have one other question, because you were quite forceful in your submission that there is, in fact, a business case. So one of the delegates just before you talked about Maribel and the white elephant at Maribel. How is the Pickering opportunity different than the Maribel experience, bad experience, which I acknowledge it is a white elephant?
Okay.
What's the difference?
Two things. Let me answer the business case. I regard the KPMG study as a business case. It's not the definitive one. There needs to be another one. Durham Gateway has a business case. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money developing it. So the numbers that I quoted in the graph about jobs and money, that's in our business case, because we paid people to create that for us, a lot of money. Now that I'm retired, I'm somewhat, I wish I hadn't, but that's okay. Now, as to Maribel is a disaster. I mean, it was, somebody had this dream of doing something. Oh, we're going to move, because what it fundamentally is, we have Dorval. Well, we're going to keep that for domestic. We're going to move all the international travel out to Maribel. And a couple of things. Oh, well, how do domestic people come in domestic and they go international. Well, we're going to build a rail line. They didn't build the rail line. We're going to build a rail line from downtown Toronto over. And then they ran into the problem when the airlines at Dorval said, we're not moving. We're just not going. We like it here. So that's not going to happen. So Maribel is Maribel. So what's different here? Well, the Pickering lands are really strategically located. They're only 50 kilometers from downtown. They have a rail line goes through it. We are supporters of the high frequency rail and a station there. But beyond that, we would like to see GO trains on a regular basis. You're building the line from Union Station out to Pickering for high frequency rail. Well, you can use that for the GO train. You can have whatever the service is to provide that to it. You also have the potentially future 407 transit way. So you can go across town, you can go downtown. So you have this network there. It's interesting. It's the downtown link. I happened to, I went to Europe and I spoke to people there, potential investors. And when it came to Paris and Charles de Gaulle Airport, was told that the link between downtown Paris and Charles de Gaulle Airport was in fact more important than the airport itself. What you need if you're going to do Pickering, you need to have minimum 30 or 40% of all people coming to and leaving the airport. They have to get there by transit. That's the problem Pearson has. Pearson's stuck at 10, 12%. They can't get people in and out. They've got all the facilities, they got the runways, they just can't get it out. So that's the biggest difference, the connectivity. And the other thing is we want the airport, and the airport's the critical link, because the airport is the thing that's the catalyst for building all of the employment lands.
Thank you, Mr. Nickerson. I appreciate your presentation today. I don't see any other questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Marin. Hello there. Thank you very much for your presentation. Just a couple of quick questions tonight. Why is it important to you that we vote for an airport tonight?
Build an airport what?
No, why is it important to you that we vote to host an airport here tonight?
That's not the vote.
No, it's not, it's my, that you vote, not vote for an airport.
Right.
I believe, my interpretation of the motion is we've spent enough time, we've spent enough money, we just need to stop doing what we're doing. I don't see your vote tonight as anti-airport or pro-farming or whatever. I see it as we're tired, we just don't want to do this anymore. And so the thing is, the other group, other people, my people I know are going to go forward. The plan is going to go, Transport Canada is going to do another study. So if you vote tonight to stop, well, what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to be happy that a federal study is going to go ahead and you're not going to have any input to it? You know, to me, I think you need to be, maybe reluctantly, but you need to be at the table. You need to be in some capacity, minor capacity, or whatever you say, to say, yeah, I agree with that, or this is BS, we don't want to do this. So reject the motion to stop if you want. Not reject, not promote the, you're not voting for the airport, you're not voting for against. But the motion, as I said, my interpretation is we're tired, we don't want to do this, we don't want to spend any more time. That's what I think the motion is.
Right. Okay, so it's no secret that honestly the city of Pickering absolutely has no power on whether or not and how we do vote, whether we are opposed to an airport or if we'd like to see an airport here in Pickering. City of Pickering really has no power. It is up to the federal government. Is that correct?
It is up to the federal government, 100% decision. But you're wrong that you don't have power. You have power because you control the services to the site. My time goes back to having to deal with one Mr. Roger Anderson, and I actually raised his ire at one point when I challenged whether enough services had been delegated. You don't want to upset Roger. Well, he's passed on, so I have to be nice. But in fact, that it is. He told me that in fact, because of the Central Pickering Development Plan, capacity was allocated and set aside for Pickering Airport, and the region entered into a contract with the Seton developers to front end and oversize the facility. So you can build an airport on the site, but if they don't have gas and water and sewers, they got nothing. So you do have power. You know, you do control, you know, you do that. Some of these councillors sit on the regional, so you do have more power than you think you have. And I think you should, whether you want to scale back, I think you should have a say in what happens, even in the short term.
Okay, I just think that if, no matter what we say, it's up to the federal government, whether we bring power to and services to the airport or not. I mean, we will
Councillor, that's,
dictated to.
yeah.
Yes, so, so, I don't know, now I've lost where I was. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So with that, don't you think that Pickering should maybe put on the books, so to say, how we feel about that airport before this study is concluded. So then that way, the government, the higher government, the federal government knows that Pickering does want an airport, or perhaps that they don't want an airport. Don't you think that would have a lot of say? So when the federal government does step in?
Oh, absolutely. You know, they're not, how to put it, the federal government is not omnipotent. You know, it should know, it should do what's right. And thing is, of course, it's federal. So the biggest benefit is the airport, or however it's developed, is for the benefit of Canadians. So, you know, but you trickle that down and you're all Canadians. And so you get a say. And so it would be very beneficial, in my opinion, that whether it's, you know, yes or no, what do the people of Pickering think? What do the people of the region think? So yes, I agree.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I also want to do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nickerson, for your presentation tonight. It was obviously well-informed and engaging for us, so thank you for being here. Our next delegate is Miss Helen Brenner.